Brian Volk-Weiss, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you for allowing me to join.
Brian, you have just burst on to the toy scene, but people, even if they're not familiar with you for toys, they probably know some of your other projects because you've been in our living room for years. The toys that made us, the movies that made us. What brought you from that side of production, video production, to toy production?
It sounds so cheesy to the point where like it may sound like a soundbite, but it really is the truth. I love toys. Mm-hmm. I love toys, and we were moving into animation, and it just didn't really make sense to a certain degree not to make toys. But I'm always very honest about this, and I worry when I say this, I'm going to sound like an asshole, but it is the truth. Been doing this for a while. We have a really healthy library and distribution business. We own the majority of our own shows. So that's what a lot of people don't understand about us. Like, we actually own these shows, so they make money for us forever, including our stand-up comedy catalog. Which is quite robust. So, I'm kind of in a position where it's reasonably easy for me to turn hobbies into businesses. And, I collect toys. I could say I've been collecting toys since I was 5, but I believe I've been collecting toys since I was a junior in college. But either way, it's either 30 years or 40 years. It's a lot of time to be collecting toys and not playing with them. Why not make toys?
Why not make toys? Yeah,
we tried. And if it had failed, we tried with RoboForce. We had everything going against us. We didn't know what we were doing. Nobody knew what RoboForce was except for about 5,000 very passionate people all over the world out of 8 billion. We hired a designer. We found a factory. We found somebody who could do artwork on packaging, and we actually made a tiny profit initially. And so we're like, all right, now let's do more. That's what it was.
Keep going. So for a lot of companies, profit is the main driving force. Is that not the case here? You just want to at least break even if you get to make the stuff you want to make?
So I'm not a sports guy, but I do use baseball to help me make complicated points.
Sure.
I view profit as a single. Mm-hmm. So as it relates to like a new business for us, all we got to do is hit singles. So I don't care if it's 1% profitable. So if we spend $100 and we make $101, that's enough to try again.
There you go.
So like with our Star Trek toys, for example, I'm not going to say who it is, but one of the characters in Wave 1, we're getting a lot of questions. Why did you pick this character? You're not going to sell very many, yada, yada, yada. How come you didn't do Captain Kirk? How come you didn't do Spock or Picard or Janeway or Cisco, whatever? And I want to sell 100 figures at least, characters, not total sales.
Okay, you want to populate that world with at least 100 characters.
Yeah, we want to do 100 characters. I will not feel we succeeded as a Star Trek licensor if we don't get to 100 characters.
Okay.
So I view it from a long road. So I don't need to hit a grand slam with every character. I don't need to hit a double with every character. As long as the wave is profitable, we will make another wave. And we're going to have Captain Kirk in the second wave, hopefully. We're going to have Janeway in the second wave, hopefully. There's still some legal stuff we got to work out, but I'm pretty sure it'll work out. So my point is, as a Trekkie lifelong, I knew that everybody was upset with the prior licensors, that they only were doing Kirks and Spocks and Datas and Picards, and they were only doing like 3-figure waves.
Right.
So
Right.
I wanted to say the community from minute one, which was last week at New York Comic Con, I wanted to say, first of all, we're doing 8 characters. Second of all, there's some people we're doing that were only on screen for 3 minutes.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. There's some deep cuts, some very deep cuts in there, and I appreciate that 100%.
And we did that, again, let's be honest, did it for us. But let me say this, we did it for you. Because for anyone who collects Star Trek toys and anyone who pays attention to this world, it's a conversation with the fan base where I heard what they were saying. First of all, I heard what they were saying. I was also fucking thinking it myself. I didn't buy a single Playmates figure except for Spock. And the only reason I bought Spock was because I wanted the gloves. So I took the gloves, put them on my shelf, and then I gave Spock to one of my kids or something. Like, I have enough Spocks.
Sure.
So by doing Valkris, who I think is on camera for 2 minutes from Star Trek 3,
Right.
that says to you, this company, win, lose, draw, right or wrong, they have heart and they're trying to do something different. Whereas I think other companies that only make toys, and I just want to say for the record, I love Playmates. I love Super 7. I love whoever we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to start differently, and I don't say to myself, hey, we're doing 8 figures. Let me look at a spreadsheet and make sure we have at least only home runs and grand slams. Because I don't think the audience wants that. I don't think the audience wants another Kirk or Spock in the TOS uniform or whatever.
Maybe
So
eventually when you
At
Like,
some point, but
I think that
Eventually, yes. So, sorry to interrupt, Paul.
No, go ahead. No, sure.
Eventually, yes. But I can assure you, if we end up doing Kirk in Wave 2, which is highly likely, he will be in a costume you've never seen him in for plastic. And this is the other key, accessories.
Okay.
We will have accessories. Yes, he'll have a phaser. Yes, he'll have a communicator, whatever. Yes, he'll have a tricorder. But he will have other stuff that has literally never been made in plastic before.
will they be molded single color plastic like those original Playmates, or will they actually be like fleshed out like real color? I know they will be. You know?
Our North Star for this question is Star Wars Black Series or G.I. Joe Classified.
Okay. Well, we like the sound of that.
Yeah, they'll be that quality as it relates to height, paint, articulation, you name it.
I'm really looking forward to those.
I think your display at Comic-Con was honestly, at New York Comic-Con, was a little shocking because as a collector of current series, we're not used to seeing these deep cuts, and it can be a little concerning because we've seen from companies maybe that you've mentioned, you don't get to series 2, 3, 4, so you end up with incomplete teams. So the situation between you and a publicly traded company or these other companies, it's a little different. So I think there needs to be that sort of like, don't worry, we completely intend to do these other characters, but we also want to do these. Because collectors, as you know, we can be a little bit nervous. We get a little scared when we're not sure things are going to continue.
Sure. Yeah, and we put an email out. We've received just under 3,000 emails of fans telling us what they want.
Nice.
I am slowly but surely replying to them. I think I recently broke 300, so I'm 10% of the way there.
There you go. Good start.
But thank you. But we're working very hard to communicate to the community that. And by the way, this is not public yet, and it's not approved yet. But
exclusive.
I am pushing to grow our figure lines to 10 per wave. And I'll be honest, wave 1 was supposed to be 6. After we saw the reaction to the press release, and before we got to New York Comic Con, I asked Paramount if we could up it to 8, and they said yes. I mean, they were like, well, yeah, please, do 1,000. So we went to 8.
Yeah.
And then again, just being honest, based on the reaction we got in New York and all of the letters we've been getting, and I haven't responded to all yet, but I've read all. I am pushing to expand to 10 figures a wave, starting in wave 2.
Wow. That's a lot of toys.
Yeah.
And you feel confident that the fan base is there to support that number, that quantity?
I'm confident that we'll do at least a single, which will allow us to do another wave and another wave and another wave. So, again, listen, being honest, knowing what I know now, would I do anything differently with wave 1? Hell no.
Okay.
But knowing what I now know, did it affect what we pitched Paramount for wave 2? Absolutely.
Okay.
So
good.
There will be less obscurity and more household name Trek characters, but all of them will be in a uniform or a costume or something that you do not have on your shelf.
Cool.
Oh, very nice.
Something new, not just repeating the same old characters. I love it. It's refreshing. It's a little scary. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a little scary, but because collecting a line is an investment. You're literally investing money in toys, hoping to complete these teams. I'm a Power Rangers fan. I collected Hasbro's Lightning collection, and at some point they said we're not gonna make these anymore. And there's a lot of teams out there that didn't get their complete membership. So the fans know that sometimes it doesn't work out, but from what you're saying, it sounds much more plausible that we're going to get at least 100 characters, and that's a lot.
I'm hopeful. Like I said, again, just being completely honest, I think I would need 2 waves in a row to strike out before stopping.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's talk about the engineering of these figures. As you've mentioned, there have been Star Trek figures in the past. What made you sculpt these the way you did? Are you trying to match an existing style? Are these brand new? Do these work with your Expanse figures? What was the decision-making process there?
So one of my core beliefs is, in general, in life, not just with toys, don't go backwards.
Okay.
So to me, and dude, I love Playmates. I conservatively have 100. I mean, I could have 200 for all I fucking know, but I love Playmate. I even got Salamander Tom Paris. Very proud of that.
Nice.
I view the bar, there's 2 issues. There's technology in toy manufacturing in 2024, and there's price point that I believe the fans will accept. Based on the price point issue, which I need for a lot of reasons to keep these under $30, the way to give quality product to the fans under $30 is, I believe, the G.I. Joe classified vibe.
Okay.
You get lots of colors, you get lots of details, you get lots and lots and lots of accessories, but you also get the heart, not with all of them, because they've been making some weird stuff lately, Hasbro.
Sure.
Sure. I have like a 500-piece G.I. Joe collection. Literally, they announced something yesterday. I'm like, who is that? Like, who the hell is that? Like, where?
They got a deep bench, lot to draw from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know they finally just did Blowtorch, but more yellow, less red, Hasbro. Anyway, so we wanted to do the highest quality we could do for under $30, and to me, that's classified in Black Series. Yeah. So you can see detail on the faces, wrinkles on the clothes. Dude, Tuvix is, let's see if we get lucky here. Hold on. Are we live?
No.
No,
we're not live. I can edit this if you want.
Can you see if Trevor or Daniel have Tuvix and if they can bring them in here?
Yeah, 1 second.
Thank you. So I'm going to show you this Tuvix figure. I can't show you his face because he's not approved yet. So I'm going to have to do the weird thing where I cover his head with my hand. Sure. But I want you to see his shoulders, because what we're doing with his shoulders at 1/12 scale, we could not do at Playmate scale. Right. So it's stuff. And by the way, guys, I wish you could see his face. Like, no bullshit. You could almost use his figure as it is. And by the way, this is a Gen 1 prototype. Like, imagine what Gen 2 and Gen 3 will be. You could take our Gen 1 prototype and literally put it on camera. Yeah. And not for 10 minutes, but it would look like the real Tuvix was standing there.
Wow.
And you can't do that at Playmate scale.
No, you lose too much detail. Yeah, the smaller you get. Do you have the same sculptor working on it, or do you have a team doing the whole line?
We have one sculptor doing all of Wave 1.
He's busy. The busy fellow.
Yeah. Thank you. Again, sorry to have to hold his head like this.
Sure.
This is so weird. Understand. But, I mean...
Oh, I love the wrinkles. That's beautiful. That is very nice.
Look at the yellow and black.
That is great. That is very nice.
And it's going to get better.
Wow.
Like, this is a Gen 1. Like, I'm looking at this and I see a million mistakes.
Uh-huh. That's great. Oh! We'll blur that. That was just for our eyes only. Our eyes only. Don't worry about it. We won't put that. Don't worry about it. I had a question about the elbows on those.
Yeah.
Do you get the double jointed elbows on those, or what? They looked kind of short, so I was like, oh, are these different than like the Expanse or anything else?
Wait, what looks short? The figures?
No, the elbow joint.
These don't have any articulation.
Oh, they don't. It just has something cut to look like what it'll look like for the joint.
Yeah. So the way it works is you make one of these, and then you get this perfect. Then it goes to the factory. They make a mold, and then you go back and forth like that. So this is literally step 1 of 9 steps.
Wow.
Before they go into production.
Damn. Can we skip a couple of the steps? Can we get these like tomorrow? Like, why does it take so long to make toys?
No comment.
Okay. I understand.
I'll answer most questions. I ain't answering that one.
I understand. That's okay. I got it. Let's switch gears a little bit now. I want to talk about Walmart. Now, Walmart.
Yes.
This is the big leagues. This is pretty much you're playing in the World Series if you have toys in Walmart, and you have a whole end cap dedicated to Nacelle. How did this happen?
So it started, we did a deal with Walmart at the end of 23. We do the show on Netflix. You already talked about it, so I don't have to tell you what it is. So we did a deal with Walmart for movies that made us.
Yep.
So in March, there was a whole end cap for movies that made us, and you could buy toys connected to the movies from the show. And they gave you like a free movie rent on like Vimeo, I think, or Vizio.
Okay, yeah.
It went awesome. Went great. Right. So whenever things go great, the company will always say to you, what else you got?
Sure.
And all jokes aside, I mean, we had been pushing the Nacelle-verse for a while, concurrently with movies that made us. So after movies that made us went great, they basically greenlit the Nacelle-verse end cap, and that's how we got there.
Wow. So on the end cap, we can get Cowboys of Moo Mesa, get Sectars, we got some Biker Mice, and then we have, this one I have a question about, Barnyard Commandos. Now, this is not something that you produce in-house, but you are the distributor for it?
Correct. And don't forget Garloo. We got the great Garloo.
Yes. Garloo, okay.
And we have the Walmart exclusive Garblue. Wow. And I'm very excited to use this term because I never heard this term until I got into the toy business. So this is for me now. This is the first thing I've ever said to you guys, for me and not for you and not for your fans and everything. We got the Walmart Pantone codes.
Oh.
They're blue. And they're yellow. The
Walmart
actual
blue.
Pantone. So if you're listening to me now and you think, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, now you know I do know what I'm talking about because I used the term Pantone codes.
There you go.
So we have Garb Blue. But yes, you're absolutely right. We just distribute not Cowboys. And by the way,
Barnyard.
Cowboys is not in it. Cowboys is going to be next year. Cowboys.
Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead a
Oh.
little bit. I'm really excited for those. So I skipped
next
ahead a little bit.
year.
Okay.
Yeah. Barnyard Commandos, you're absolutely right. A wonderful company called Premium DNA does those. And we got the distribution rights to them. And, you know, when you're a distributor, it's your job to get them into stores. And rumor has it Walmart's the store.
So there you go.
Put it there. But you're
Rumor
absolutely
confirmed.
right. It is absolutely technically, not and literally not a part of the Nacelleverse.
Okay. I remember Barnyard Commandos. That was prime me as a kid buying any toy I saw at KB Toy Works or Toys R Us, obviously. How much do you miss Toys R Us? How much do you miss it?
I miss it very much. It's the closest thing I had to a church or a temple or a mosque.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I literally cried. Cried when it closed down. It was my wife did not understand. I was like, it's like losing a relative. It was horrible.
Like my youngest.
I'll keep going. I was pillaging everything I could from the stores, you know,
stealing the signs
any
and
type
everything.
of signs, everything.
Yeah.
I got an entrance sign. I got two of the old. They found them in the back room. Like the woman who worked there, she like the liquidator. She could tell like it was personal to me. She was like, I kept coming back every day. So I came in one day. I had never even talked to her before. She had just rung me up and like seen how excited I was and sad. And one day she was like, "Do you have like 2 minutes? Can I get you something? See if you want it." I'm like, "Sure." I'm like, all right, it's nice of her. Literally goes all the way to the back of the store, comes back. She had not one but two, and they probably hadn't used them in 20 years. The old credit card swipe.
Oh, yeah.
With the carbon copy.
Wow.
How much do you think those cost me?
Oh, she charged you? She was like selling stuff out the back?
A liquidation sale.
I guess that's true. I don't know, $20 a piece?
$5 combined.
There you go.
How
could you say no to that?
I would have paid $500 each.
Did they have the logo on it? They have a little Jeffrey head on there?
No, but it says Toys R Us and has the address.
Oh, that's right.
And that was that was my Toys R Us. Like that was the Toys R Us I went to. It's here in Burbank where our offices are. Like when I was having a bad day at work and needed an hour to like calm down, that's the Toys R Us I would go to wander around aimlessly and freak out parents. But it says that address on the thing.
It's so funny how you say that because I think that's such a common shared experience for collectors where as adults, we would go there to that was our happy place. We could just wander and we were just completely surrounded by toys. Even if it was like even before I had kids, it was fun to like walk around like the quote unquote kids section because it's toys. It's just, there was nothing else like it. Because we lost KB, we lost, any other like toy stores that have
the great
it was just Child World. Like for a while there, growing up, whoa, you had your pick, but then it was just Toys R Us, and then it was gone.
Yeah, and now we have a half aisle at Ross.
Yeah, that's good. Like a couple times a year when they give off the surplus.
Someone throws a shoe at your head.
Exactly, and then you got the like security guy with the bulletproof vest. Like, what's going on with this Ross? Why do they have to have bulletproof vests? I always wonder that. Do you see a way that a toy store like Toys R Us could ever return?
Absolutely. They went out of business not because they were unprofitable selling toys. They went out of business because some Wall Street venture capitalist bullshit. It's the same thing with Red Lobster.
Right.
Like, and again, I'm sure you've heard about the all-you-can-eat shrimp thing. That is absolutely not why Red Lobster went out of business.
That's not why.
Was that a dumb move on the verge of bankruptcy? Yes. Of course.
Sure. Hail Mary.
But they had a lot of problems before the shrimps, and that was all because of Wall Street manipulating. Like they did some crap with the real estate where they bought it. Then they raised the rent on their own stores. That's what happened to Toys R Us.
Yep, exactly.
Toys R Us's superpower was distribution. They had distribution centers all over the country. They had trucks. And that's what you need to lower the cost. That's Walmart's super weapon. That's Target's super. That's all of these companies' super weapons. Yes, their marketing is important. Yes, the location is important. It's the distribution that makes them do what they do, the scale and the prices. That can be, again, it has to be built from scratch now, unfortunately. But had somebody bought, I can't believe Hasbro, Mattel, Lego, and a couple other companies should have each thrown in $250 million, bought it for $2 billion, and then like had their own toy store without having to really have that much of a difference between a retail and wholesale price.
We could have done a Kickstarter. The fans would have chipped in.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it was $2 billion. I think that's what was needed, was $2 billion.
All right. Well, you get half of that. We'll take care of the rest.
All right. Good. I had a feeling. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, I mentioned Kickstarter. You have experience with that. You kickstarted The Expanse.
Yeah.
Was that your first foray? Is that the word? Foray? What's the word?
It was our first, and if I had to guess and hope, our last. It was.
Okay.
I've been doing this 26 years, within reason, in the top 1% worst experiences of my entire career, and we will never, ever, God willing, ever do it again. We were told by everybody, oh, it's The Expanse, Kickstarter, yada, yada, yada. And listen, we made mistakes. We absolutely made mistakes. I'm not saying we didn't make mistakes. We did. But what I learned from that experience was people seem to take Kickstarter very, very, very seriously. And mistakes that we made, and I'm not saying we didn't make them. We did. We made mistakes. I think I've said that 5 times now. I'm not trying to pretend we didn't. We did. But they would like become these things where people would be like, wait, because you didn't do this and because you didn't do that and because of the, like, I'm not investing. And I'd be like reading this and I'm like, do you like The Expanse?
Do you want these toys or not?
Toys?
Yeah.
So if you collect toys and you like The Expanse, you're not buying our figures because our 8th prize was not a proper ratio less than our 9th prize or whatever they call them. Like I
like the stretch Reddit. Tiers. Okay.
Yeah, tiers. That's the term. Tiers. And it was like, I can't tell you how many times when I woke up in the morning, we had less money than when I went to bed.
Ugh.
And I'm like, who's taking money out? Like who's sitting here on day 27 saying like, oh, I changed my mind. I don't want to buy The Expanse anymore. Let me get my money. It was so weird. So, we did it. It's over.
Right.
And I believe that's one and done.
Okay. Well, there you go. You do not recommend it for others thinking about getting into it.
And then the funny thing is, I have friends of mine who do it all the time, and I'll say this to them, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's the worst. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, so you're not going to do it anymore? And they're like, no, we're definitely going to keep doing it. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Well, I guess the results, if the results are good, hard to argue with that. Brian, we have a few more minutes with you. Is there anything that you would like our listeners to know about Nacelle, what to look forward to, where to go to buy your product?
I mean, pretty much we should be at almost every mom and pop store in the country that you would buy toys at. Maybe not every, but it's well over 450 stores that pretty much carry all our products. We're at Walmart, as you know. We're at FYE. And we also have, and more than that, I mean, we're at Spencer's. And we also have our own website, Nacelle store, nacelle.com. And you can buy toys directly from us.
There you go.
Our goal is to put our toys wherever people go. Like, we're not trying to get people just to come to our website. We don't want them to only go to Walmart. Like we wouldn't be here without the mom and pops. So we're putting them everywhere. We're doing everything we can to keep prices low and get them lower. I mean, we got RoboForce. I mean, I think we cut almost 30% of the price between the first making and the second. We're very, very cognizant of the economy. We know it's rough for everybody. So we work very, very hard to price our toys as low as we can. And we love it. If anything, I would just say, and I appreciate you asking that, just write to us. Like, tell us what you like about us. Tell us what you don't like. We try to listen. I think we have a reputation for listening to fans and making changes when we realize what we're hearing is right and we screwed up. So we love talking to the fans. I respond to almost every DM and email and whatever I get. Really, really love it. It's great. It's very surreal to be a part of this community. It still really hasn't sunk in that it's real, especially with the Star Trek stuff.
Yeah. Is that a dream line for you?
It's like a living, awake dream.
Wow.
It's great.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I mean, nacelle is a term
Yes.
almost entirely learned from Star Trek. I would say,
is it? Okay, I was going to ask you where the name came from.
Yeah, I would say if 100 people know the word, 99 learned it from Star Trek.
Wow.
So it's not a Star Trek term, but
Sure.
yeah, it's basically the engines. It's technically not the engines. It's the thing that hold the engines. So
Bill
every
knew it, right?
airplane-
I could
What's
see
that?
him. He knew. Bill knew. He's our Star
I
Trek
knew.
guru here.
Yeah, I'm
He
the
knew.
Star Trek guy.
He knew.
Yeah, so that it's a Star Trek term. In
There
my
you go.
will, I like the thing that'll be written on my tombstone. It's in my estate planning and all that crap. It's a Star Trek quote. So yeah, it's a living dream.
Awesome. Brian, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again.
Thank you, and vice versa.
Yep.